1,032 construction workers died on the job in the United States in 2024. That is, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics Census of Fatal Occupational Injuries, released February 2026. More than one death every single day. And here is what makes that number unacceptable. Over 58% of those deaths, more than 600 workers, were killed by the exact same four hazards. Four hazards that OSHA has identified, documented, and published solutions for decades. This video is going to tell you what those four hazards are, why workers keep dying from them despite everything we know, and what you need to do right now to make sure you are not next. Every statistic in this video comes from one source, the United States Bureau of Labor Statistics, specifically the 2024 Census of Fatal Occupational Injuries. These are not estimates. These are verified fatality counts, each death confirmed by at least two independent sources, including OSHA investigation reports, death certificates, and workers' compensation records. Construction employs roughly 8 million workers in the United States. In 2024, the construction industry fatal injury rate was approximately 9.6 deaths per 100,000 full-time equivalent workers, nearly 3 times the all-industry average of 3.3. That gap has not meaningfully closed in over a decade. The four hazards responsible for the majority of those deaths have been known and preventable since at least the 1990s. So why do workers keep dying from them? That is the question this video answers. Mistake number 1 is falls, and it has been the #1 killer in construction for as long as federal data has been collected. According to OSHA and BLS data, falls account for approximately 33.5% of all construction fatalities. That is more than 1 in every 3 deaths. In 2024, falls, slips, and trips resulted in 370 fatalities among construction and extraction workers, down 7.5% from 400 in 2023, according to BLS CFOI 2024 data. The most common fall scenarios: falls from roofs, falls from ladders, falls through unprotected floor openings, and falls from scaffolding. So why does it keep happening? OSHA research consistently identifies 3 root causes: no fall protection provided, fall protection equipment present but not used, and fall protection equipment used incorrectly. OSHA Standard 29 CFR 1926, Subpart M, requires fall protection at 6 feet or more in construction. That standard has been in place since 1994. Fall protection violations, specifically 1926.502, have been among the top 10 most cited OSHA violations every single year for over 2 decades. In other words, the law exists, the equipment exists, the training exists. Workers are still dying because the system is not being followed consistently on site. Mistake number 2 is struck-by incidents, the second leading cause of construction fatalities. According to OSHA Fatal 4 data, struck-by incidents account for approximately 11.4% of construction deaths. This category includes workers struck by moving vehicles on site, workers hit by falling tools or materials from height, and workers caught in the path of swinging equipment like crane loads. One of the most preventable subcategories, falling objects. OSHA data shows that a significant percentage of struck-by fatalities involve tools, materials, or debris falling from elevated work areas, directly onto workers below. Why does it keep happening? 3 consistent reasons documented in OSHA investigations. No exclusion zones established below elevated work, no debris nets or tow boards on scaffolding, and inadequate communication between workers at different elevations. Exclusion zones cost nothing to mark. Tow boards cost less than $20. These deaths are not a resource problem. They are a compliance and supervision problem. Mistake number 3 is electrocution, and this one surprises most people. According to OSHA Fatal 4 data for 2024, electrocution accounts for approximately 8.4% of construction fatalities. The 3 most documented causes in OSHA investigation reports: contact with overhead power lines, contact with energized equipment or wiring, and improper use of extension cords and power tools. Overhead power line contact alone is responsible for a significant portion of electrocution deaths in construction every year. OSHA requires a minimum clearance of 10 feet from power lines for most construction equipment. This requirement is widely known, and yet OSHA investigation reports consistently find that equipment operators were working within that clearance zone with no permit, no spotter, and no utility contact established before work began. Why does it keep happening? Two documented factors: time pressure, crews push forward without completing pre-work utility checks, and assumption of de-energization, workers assuming a line is dead without verification. The solution is not complicated. Contact the utility provider before any work near overhead lines. Verify, then work. That sequence every time would prevent the majority of these deaths. Mistake number 4 is caught in or caught between incidents, the category that receives the least attention but consistently kills workers. According to OSHA Fatal 4 data, caught in and caught between incidents account for approximately 5.4% of construction fatalities. This includes workers buried in trench or excavation collapses, workers caught between moving equipment and fixed structures, and workers pulled into unguarded rotating machinery. Trench collapse is one of the most lethal scenarios in this category. OSHA requires protective systems, sloping, shoring, or trench boxes, for any excavation deeper than 5 feet. This is a legal requirement, not a recommendation. OSHA investigation data shows a consistent pattern. Fatalities occur in unprotected trenches that were opened quickly for short-duration work, utility repairs, service connections, where workers and supervisors decided the job was too small or too fast to set up protection. A trench collapse gives a worker 0 warning and 0 time to escape. The pressure of 1 cubic yard of soil, roughly 3 feet by 3 feet by 3 feet, is approximately 3,000 pounds. No worker survives a full trench collapse without immediate rescue, and by the time rescue arrives, the outcome is almost always fatal. Here is what OSHA data consistently shows across all 4 of these hazards. In the majority of fatal incidents, the required safety measure was known, was available, and was not applied. This is not a knowledge problem. Decades of training programs, billions in enforcement, and hundreds of fatality investigation reports have made the causes of these deaths completely transparent. The problem documented in investigation report after investigation report is execution under production pressure. Workers and supervisors skip the step because the job is small, because they are behind schedule, because they have done it this way before without getting hurt, until they have not. That is the pattern. And the only thing that breaks that pattern is you, either as the worker who refuses to accept the risk, or as the supervisor who sets the expectation that the procedure is non-negotiable. Now, before you move on, we do the 3-step safety check. Every video on this channel ends here, because information without action is useless. Go through that list of hazards in your mind right now. Which of those exist at your site right now? Not which ones could exist, which ones do exist today. Be honest, because the workers around you need you to be honest. For each hazard you identified, who owns the fix? In most jurisdictions, the employer or principal contractor is legally responsible for ensuring the site is safe. But supervisors have a duty to report, and workers have a right to refuse work they genuinely believe is unsafe. Know which category applies to you, and know what your rights are in your country. Do not wait for someone else to fix a hazard you can see right now. If you are a supervisor or safety officer, document the hazard today. Issue a corrective action, set a deadline, follow up. If you are a worker, report the hazard to your supervisor in writing. Even a text message creates a record. If the hazard is immediate and serious, stop work. If you get no response, in the USA, file a complaint at OSHA.gov, in the UK at hse.gov.uk, in Canada at your provincial safety authority, in Australia at safeworkaustralia.gov.au. Every one of those reporting systems allows anonymous reporting. Use them. If this breakdown gave you something actionable, subscribe. Every video on this channel is built from government data, OSHA investigation reports, and primary sources only. No opinion, no speculation, just what the data shows and what you can do with it. This is Construction Safety Decoded. See you in the next video.